What is up, homies, and welcome to what is now my first gaming Let's Play of 2026. And basically, we are picking up where we left off with the Sonic the Hedgehog series that we started to end off 2025. We are now beginning 2026 with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, releasing nearly 1.5 years after the original game, as this game first released on the Sega Genesis, also known as the Sega Mega Drive, in November of 1992. And what this game would give us is, well, a lot. The first feature it gave us was, well, the spin dash, of course, that has pretty much been in every Sonic game since this one. There was also the inclusion of us now having to collect 7 Chaos Emeralds instead of 6 that we had in the first game. And what we also get to do is we actually get to transform into Super Sonic if we collect all the Chaos Emeralds. And aside from that, there's also the introduction of Sonic's well-known sidekick, Miles Tails Prower, or known to most people as just Tails. And the reason they went with the name Miles Prower is because, well, if you separate the word Prower, you will notice that it does sound a lot like you're saying miles per hour, which of course is a speed measurement to those who don't know. And of course, yes, I do prefer imperial units over metric units, so I refer to it as being miles per hour. And like the first game, this one of course was very well received. And something else that I noticed on the Sonic Wiki is that when this game got its worldwide release on November 24th in 92, they ultimately came up with their celebration of Sonic Tuesday, because as I noticed from looking at the calendar on my PC, November 24th of 92 was on a Tuesday, and everything else that this game has, well, we'll just have to try and see if we can actually play competently. And of course, as ever, there is the return of the great Dr. Ivo Robotnik, or as many people just refer to him these days, Dr. Eggman. So pretty much the same logo as before, except for saying it's a different font under the bits and pieces. And also Tails appears in the logo as well. So basically, what we get here is we get an option to either play as Sonic and Tails, which is beneficial for the acts, but not so beneficial for collecting Chaos Emeralds, as you'll find out soon enough. We can also play as Sonic alone, Tails alone. However, for the sake of diversity, I'm just going to be Sonic and Tails. We can also do a sound test, however I'm not really bothered about that. And of course we've also got versus mode. Not really going to show off 2-player, I'm just going to do the full single player experience, and basically try not to suck like ass like I did before here at Emerald Hill Zone. So basically, I'm just hoping to say that I'm at least playing like I actually know what it is I am supposed to do, instead of just being the incompetent fool. And in spite of me hitting coconuts, I wind up losing my shield. which could be a problem because there's another coconut right there, and I need him to get rid of his next coconut before I take him down. Okay. Yeah, that's right, piss off. I also need to watch out for those wasp badniks as well, because those lasers they shoot can be pretty ominous. And I get rid of him pro-efficiently. And we need to get some more rings here because we need 50 rings in order to unlock the special stage. A lot like we did in the first game, essentially. Except for saying, okay, got 50 rings now, so gonna get the speed shoes, and just gonna bounce up here, and just before we do anything else, I'm going to pause and save the game, just so I don't lose track of my progress. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I accidentally saved over my previous progress again. Anyway, this is the Super Special, and the first two really aren't too hard. You basically just have to collect a few rings here and there and make sure that you're pretty much collecting enough to get through to the next part of the special stage. And instead of the maze like we had in the first game, we're basically playing on a half pipe. Which, to be honest, I think has its advantages and disadvantages, and not doing too well at the moment, but somehow I do manage to get over 90 rings. 95 rings to be precise. We also have to watch out for bombs, and they will of course become more of a problem as we go further and further through this, but they're not really too much of a problem in the early stages. We just have to make sure we're ready for them in the later stages. And just like that, we already have over 150 rings, and our first Chaos Emerald. Cool and good. And something else I should mention is, for every 50,000 points we now score, we basically get an extra life. And also something else that's really cool about this game is the fact that the rings basically respawn. So basically, any items we might have lost before, we actually get to recollect. And at the moment I am really trying to get on that platform, however I think the path is a little steep. And I think on one of these loops you can actually get a fucking extra life on one of these. I'm pretty sure you can anyway. Well, at least I have the invincibility when I do, because I just got rid of those piranhas. And now I need to figure out how to get back up on that platform because, well, I just want to. And it doesn't look like I'm going to. As much as I am really trying to get back up on it. Or I could just do the obvious thing and do that. That probably also works, in a way. So, yeah. So, showing off the spin dash mechanic. And apparently I already collected the rings there, so that doesn't really matter. However, what does matter is getting to the next pole, and also pausing the game before we continue. I now have 2 save states, So this is where it gets a little harder, because, well, we will have to deal with more bombs compared to the first level. I do at least know enough of my way around here to know where one or two of the bombs are, but I don't think there'll be a problem at first. They will become more of a problem as we go further and further along, but basically what I'm going to try and do is make sure that I collect most of my rings as Sonic, and already that plan has backfired. Or so it would seem. I'm also trying to make sure Tails doesn't sustain too much damage, and already I fail. However, that's okay, because I can reload the game. Because why not? At least I know how to get through the stage now. And I also know that it is possible to get those 140 rings without playing like a twat. Okay. So got over 60 rings of Sonic. I'm kind of trying to make sure that I get all my ring targets as Sonic, to be honest with you. Because then that way, I at least have the cadence to say that I am meeting my targets as Sonic, with occasional help from Tails. Because as long as I meet my targets as Sonic, that's pretty much all that really matters. This, by the way, is also my third attempt of trying to get it right. As long as Tails doesn't have too many rings, then I think I should be fine. Oh, I completely missed that. Okay. We got it. Took me 3 tries, but we got there eventually. And that's pretty much the end of the easy stages, because this is pretty much where they get much harder. And there's the extra life jingle already. So we've got 2 Chaos Emeralds from the first 2 zones, or from the first zone I should say. And what do we find up here? Extra rings. Nice. And there's nothing jumping up at me on the bridge, and getting rid of both those bad nicks before one of them shoots me. I could possibly go for the third one if I really wanted to, but at this point I'm not really bothered, because I already have 2 Chaos Emeralds. I at least know enough about how to play this game the right way. And gonna use the spin dash just in case, because I don't want to end up backtracking myself on those fucking spikes again. And that's pretty much the end of Act 1 in the Emerald Hill Zone. And now I will save the game again, so my progress is able to be monitorable. Okay, trying this again, because to be honest, I really am basically just getting my pants pulled down. And it doesn't look like it's going very well at the moment either, because I am currently playing like a twat. Okay. So before I do anything else, I'm gonna make damn sure I collect my rings. Because goddammit, I need those rings. Thanks, Tails. Okay, now we're just 5 rings short from what we need. Okay, we've got those 5 rings now. Now I just need to wait for that platform to get down here. Or I could probably just get back up on the loop. However, which way I got on the loop in the first place. Basically, I'm backtracking is what I'm actually doing here. And before Coconuts throws another coconut at me, because of course he does, we are going to get on with the hunt for our 3rd Chaos Emerald. And also get rid of a badnik in the process. And before we continue, I will save the game. Okay, so this time, this is where things get a little bit harder. Because we have to dodge the bombs this time. So here we go again as we try to collect the rings we need for Chaos Emerald number 3. And so far, we're off to a good start. Just have to make sure Tails does not collect too many rings in the process, then we should be fine. And I do meet the ring requirement as Sonic, so I think I should be fine, as I have 74 rings already. We're off to a good start, so let's try and see if we can keep this up. I know exactly where the bombs are going here, and Tails did manage to follow me that time. Good for him, I guess. However, I have a majority of the rings, which is all that matters, and I am well on my way to hopefully hitting my target. As long as Tails does not get in my way too much, I should be fine. Okay, 2 rings away, and I think we've got it. And yes, we do. 170 rings, baby! For the red Chaos Emerald. $170 rings to Sonic, and zip rings to Tails. So that's now 3 Chaos Emeralds we've collected, and we're not even done with Emerald Hill Zone yet. However, I'm going to leave the Chaos Emerald collection here for now. Oh, we can go this way. And we get some extra rings. Cool and good. Oh. I forgot there was a spring there. Really gotta watch myself on those spikes. They can be painful if you hit those. And I think we might as well end the level here, simply because I hate those wasp things. Okay, I'm not gonna go where the spikes are. This platform is here for a reason. And I need to charge my way up. Got some more rings there, however, not really interested in those. And I'm gonna try and get rid of these badniks, just whilst I'm here. And not many of those, I will say. And here is the boss battle. Now this one is going to be pretty easy, because it's probably one of the easiest bosses in all of gaming. Basically we just need to hit Robotnik, 8 times, and then basically he blows up. I've already got 6 hits on him, so I only need 2 more. He will shoot his drill after the 7th hit, I think. And there we go, one of the easiest bosses in gaming has now been defeated, and in spite of me getting spiked late on, I managed to collect 40 rings. And that's also now the end of Emerald Hill Zone, as we finish with over 90,000 points. So that'll do it for part 1 of Sonic 2. And next up, we will be heading to everyone's favourite zone, the Chemical Plant Zone. Stay tuned.